first chance of the game. It's special. What a goal. Everybody talked about
Viktor Gyokeres needs to do more to keep hold of Arsenal place. Are Viktor Gyokeres' struggles down to poor performances or poor service? It was a tale of two strikers watching Arsenal and Manchester City from the Emirates Stadium and Selhurst Park press boxes last weekend. Erling Haaland was in typically devastating form. Viktor Gyokeres' performance felt familiar for different reasons. Another blank, this time against bottom side Wolves, meant the £55 million signing from Sporting has failed to score in 11 out of 14 Premier League appearances this season. It is a record roughly the inverse of Haaland's, and it is becoming a growing source of unease. It may seem an unfair comparison, but these are the standards. Haaland's goals against Crystal Palace put him on 17 for the season in the Premier League. He had an even higher total at the same point of his first campaign. No bedding-in period required. Of course, it is Arsenal, not Manchester City, who sit top right now. They remain a formidable outfit collectively, but the major impact predicted by Sporting director Andrea Berta from Gyokeres when he was signed in July is yet to materialise. At 27, with a Haaland-esque scoring record behind him, he was billed as the ready-made number 9 supporters craved. But the worrying is that the physical advantages he enjoyed in Portugal have been lost in the far tougher conditions of the Premier League. Consider the drop in his dual success rate, from 50% in Portugal's Primeira Liga last season to just 37% this term. The Wolves game, during which he only had 15 touches and 1 shot, was just the latest in which he has struggled to exert himself. A dip in his output was to be expected given the step up in quality, but the extent of it, 4 months in, is a cause for concern, even factoring in last month's unfortunately timed injury. Mikel Arteta has been at pains to highlight the importance of his contribution out of possession. There is no doubting his work rate, but he has also acknowledged that, ultimately, Gyokeres will be judged on goals. That is logical, said the Arsenal boss. For now, they continue to elude him. The defining image of his performance against Wolves was of him failing to reach Bukayo, Saka's low cross, in the first half, caught on his heels, as he was from Declan Rice's ball late on, against Aston Villa, in Arsenal's previous Premier League game. Being in the right place to convert chances, such as those should be meat and drink for a penalty box poacher. But the late arrivals have become a theme. Gyokeres is averaging only 0.76 one-touch shots per 90 minutes. Haaland, by contrast, is averaging 1.85. It was to the surprise of no one at Selhurst Park on Sunday that the Norwegian only needed 1 chance to break the game open. His first goal coming from a characteristic one-touch finish. He found room in the Crystal Palace box to head home across. Gyokeres, though, is not getting enough shots off generally. His overall average of 1.98 per 90 minutes puts him 45th this season among the 81 players listed as forwards by Opta, with at least 20% of minutes played. Gyokeres sits between West Ham's Niklas Füllkrug and Brighton's Jorginho Rutter on the list. The numbers raise questions about service. Gyokeres is a different profile to Arsenal's other options up front, preferring to play off the shoulder of opposition centre-backs, with space to run into. Naturally, then, he needs to be fed differently. But his teammates are trying. Arsenal have made more through balls than any other Premier League side this season. According to Opta, their average has increased by nearly 80%, from just over 2 per game last season to nearly 4 this term, reflecting a concerted effort to add greater incision to their passing. His runs are being targeted by passes at a higher rate than either Hugo Ekitike's at Liverpool or Haaland's at Manchester City. Of course, those passes need to be right. His teammates are still adapting to him. Arteta has spoken of the need to build up chemistry and connections on the pitch. But Gyokeres must do his part too. Too often, when he is found, he is unable to hold on to the ball. It is partly a technical issue, but it is also one of space. Gyokeres has averaged the least space when available to receive passes of any Premier League player this season, at 3.14 metres, a statistic which reflects his struggle to create separation from his markers through his movement. Creating that space is of course more difficult when you come up against deep-lying, compact defences as often as Arsenal do, but that challenge is not unique to them. Holland and Ekitike face similar circumstances with Manchester City and Liverpool, and yet average 4.92 metres and 5.32 metres of space, respectively, when available to receive passes. Arteta and his staff will aim to resolve some of these issues on the training pitch. Gyokeres is not the first player to require a period of adaptation to the Premier League. It is far too early to write him off, but scrutiny of his suitability to the side has been intensified by the return to fitness of Gabriel Jesus, whose all-action displays recently have contrasted sharply with those of his new teammate. Gyokeres is of course a different player, signed to provide the killer instinct Arsenal lacked. Holland shows that touch volume is not important if the goals flow. But the feeling remains that Arsenal are a better side with a striker who gets involved in their approach play. Their two best attacking performances of the season, against Tottenham and Bayern Munich last month, came with Mikel Merino starting up front, interchanging positions with teammates and dropping into midfield, while also providing a threat in the box. I actually think it's going to be tough for Gyokeres to be the first choice Arsenal striker, said Sky Sport's pundit Jamie Carragher on Monday Night Football, when it was noted he will soon be fighting for a place with the returning Kai Havertz, as well as Jesus and Merino. Gyokeres deserves credit for shouldering the attacking burden on his own in the early months of the season, but he may come to reflect on the period as a missed opportunity to establish himself. The time to seize his chance is overdue. When looking through the data on Premier League strikers this season, one name that leapt out was that of Bournemouth's Eli Junior Krupi. The 19-year-old, signed from Lorient in February and scorer of his side's fourth goal in the 4-4 draw with Manchester United, looks a big talent and the numbers back up the eye test. His latest effort was ruthlessly taken with his weaker foot after finding a gap between Lisandro Martinez and Aidan Heaven, and showed, again, the variety he is capable of. His tally of 5 Premier League goals includes a long-range strike against Nottingham Forest and a pair of superb volleyed finishes from inside the box against Leeds and Crystal Palace. Bournemouth boss Andoni Iraola has talked up his goal-scoring instincts, and there can be no doubting his efficiency. Krupi has reached 5 goals in only 423 minutes of action as he is rotated with Evanilson, who has only scored twice. Only Holland has a better scoring rate among strikers this season, and that is not the only metric in which Krupi ranks highly. The sample size is still small, but the early evidence suggests Bournemouth have picked up another young gem. Staying on the theme of strikers, Dominic Calvert-Lewin looks primed to cause Crystal Palace problems on Saturday, having finally hit form for Leeds, with 4 goals in his last 4 games.